morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Nevoso. I am the Executive Director of the Italy America Chamber of Commerce West, the official Italian Chamber of Commerce in Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much for joining us today for the online edition of the Authentic Italian Table, an event framed within the True Italian campaign, funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, coordinated by Assocamere Estero, and created by our organization. Today's event has been graciously made possible by the support of our member, Lavazza USA, represented here today by Mr. Fucci. We appreciate you very much. The Authentic Italian Table honors Italy's culinary heritage through the stories and recipes of one of our most talented chefs, Enrico Bartolini. And now I am pleased to introduce you to our Chamber Board President, Nicolas Ragiotto, who would like to say a few words. Nicola.
Good morning, everyone. I'm truly honored to welcome you to our third annual Authentic Italian Table. On behalf of our Board of Directors and our organization, thank you for taking an interest in our True Italian Taste campaign and for your participation. I really look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully, very soon at one of our next events. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Nicola. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator, food and wine educator, master taster, public speaker, and author, Gianmario Villa, who will facilitate today's panel. Gianmario, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Jenny. Just shortly, welcome everybody. I'm very happy and honored to be here with friends and professionals of the wine and food industry. Thank you for our panelists to show up. Actually, I would like to introduce first the panelists before we go on. We have normally from Mudec Restaurant 3-star in Milan, the museum and restaurant, Chef Enrico Bartolini, today joining us from the beautiful town of Bergamo Alta and the Casual Restaurant. Good morning and good evening to you, Chef. We have from Seattle, food writer and restaurant critic Tan Veen for the Seattle Times. Good morning. And morning. From Chicago, good morning. And from Chicago, we have Tracy Bew, founder of Civil Agent and creator of Recycle by City. Good morning, Chicago too. Today we're touching on sustainable cooking, food waste, video products, authentic Italian cuisine and true Italian taste through our panelists. And we're gonna have a question time in the second portion. And I invite all the media that are attending today the panel to, first of all, make sure that the name in your profile of Zoom corresponds to your name, and send your question in the chat room, and we're gonna call your name and interact together with Chef Bartolini and the other guests. Now, speaking of Chef Bartolini, he is literally a rock star right now, a humble rock star. And he was the first chef in the Michelin Guide history receiving 4-star in the same time. It's a huge success, but I would like to go backwards a little bit, back to the teenager in the Tuscan village and see how did you become chef and why, who was your inspiration? Because I like the personal twist when we talk with a celebrity.
Thank you, everybody, for inviting me today. I'm very honored to be here, and thank you, Gianmario. When I was a kid, I loved to spend my time in the kitchen, and I can remember at the nursery school, I prepared a caramel with my teacher, and I was really surprised because the sugar from white color became brown, and the flavor became very good. And that was my first really surprise in the kitchen. When I went home, I said to my father, I'd love to play in the kitchen. And he said me, don't think nothing now, you're so young. So I started to follow my aunt, who loved spend his time from morning to evening in the kitchen. And I loved this job, but I didn't know because I was too young. At the age of 13 years old, I need to decide what kind of school I will follow during the age from 14 to 19, and I decided to ascribe to the Istituto Alberghiero, the hotellerie school. And in that moment, I started to work at the same time. Every evening, I went to my uncle who has got a restaurant, and my dream was make the best maltagliati with fresh pasta and mushroom of the world. I didn't know what was the fine dining restaurants and nothing similar experiences, because I discovered this kind of restaurants in Paris at the age of 19. And then I become a very passionate in this way, and I start to follow this kind of restaurants. Now I'm really surprised for the results that we have with Michelin in 2016 with the 4 stars Michelin together, but I think we have everything to do.
Passion is always a key for the success, and I like that. Chef, speaking of your experience, PDO products protected by law, they represent genuine products of origin where we can have trackability, genuinity, also sort of a guarantee for the consumer about how they're made, and most importantly, they represent a huge business around the world. It's about 5 billion of euros, and 80% of them are made of cheese and salumi category product. But speaking of PDO, you are a stellar chef ambassador of the Italian culture around the world, because food is part of culture. Cooking is part of the culture of a country. What kind of products are close to your heart and somehow can define your style, no matter where you are? It can be in Los Angeles, in Milan, or in Hong Kong.
Actually, my experiences are in Italy, in different towns, in 6 different towns, and the biodiversity we have, I think, is a very great richness. I love also the wild ingredient market of the day, but with DOP ingredients, we can have a certification who teach us the history, the tradition, and what these ingredients are. If I want to be sure the ingredients have got an history and persons are behind the results of the ingredients, I think DOP is absolutely the best certification we can have. In my kitchen, I have, for example, Parmigiano Reggiano or Gorgonzola cheese in every restaurant, because these are part of the most popular recipes we have in all the different restaurants. But we are also lucky because each restaurant is co-located in a special town with a different and great history behind. So we can play with many different ingredients. The most popular in the world we have is simple to recognize. The DOP is very simple to read the name on the bottle of the vinegar balsamic, and I hate enough the Italian sounding, but I love to discover the history of the ingredients and who are the persons who give you this richness in your hands.
I'm sure a chef is a very curious animal as well. So speaking of that, you mentioned Parmigiano Reggiano, which is number 2 in the top 10, and Gorgonzola is number 7 in the top 10 on the DOP products on the production. What will be the consumer experience? How does it change if from the texture point of view or the flavor, if you use a PDO, a non-PDO, or an imitation, without throwing under the bus any of this, okay? I don't want to say, but what will be the experience? How it will change? Because the plate can deeply change, in my opinion.
I think everybody has got a palate, and if everybody has got a good education to the ingredients and a great sensibility on the palate, can discover the details who are the best difference. My palate said me the details need to be in the plate, and I love to taste the great food, and you cannot imagine in a day you can transforming a new ingredients and keep it on the market.
before we move to Seattle, I have a curiosity. How truly is important, beyond the chef, the opinion of your guest when they eat? Like, do you really ask what they think about the plate, about the flavor, their experience, or is more about your way and they come to your place and it's more about your direction rather than them?
Absolutely, the guest give you the opinion of the market, and if you want to have a restaurants with good opinions on inside, you need to have a great culture of your guest. As you know, if a supermarket has got not good ingredients, means the guest who go there looking for bad ingredients.
Mm. Thank you, Chef. We'll come right back to you. I would like to move to Seattle for a moment. Our food writer and restaurant critic for the Seattle Times, Tan Dean. Good morning, Tan, again. I would like, good morning. We're talking about authentic Italian cuisine. I've been to Seattle many times, and the first time was 16 years ago. And I would like to know from your point of view, what is considered authentic Italian cuisine, and what's the perception of the Italian cuisine from the consumer and the industry point of view, and what changed? Because a lot changed in between, I mean, in the past few years.
Yeah, and we can look at the bigger picture, but I can just tell you, for instance, in Seattle, and I think it reflects around the country, and that is, if you were to ask anyone or look at any top 10 lists in Seattle in terms of top 10 restaurants, I guarantee you a third of that list will be Italian restaurants, not Italian-American restaurants, but very specifically Italian restaurants. I would say that in Seattle, the two biggest restaurant openings in recent memory are both Italian restaurants. El Nido last year, which has gained a lot of traction nationally, and prior to that, Otura, which is everyone's 4-star restaurant. I say this, and it's not just Seattle, but I think it's a reflection of a lot of parts of the country. You're seeing a lot more, for example, fresh pasta dish. And I use Seattle as an example, but I think it's a reflection across the country. I would say that 1 out of every 3 new openings in Seattle has at least 1 or 3 fresh pasta dish. And we're not talking about spaghetti meatball. We're not talking about like gummy Olive Garden pasta. We're talking about really al dente, nice portion. We're not talking about these supersized, overworked, but just like authentic fresh pasta that they serve in all the restaurants now. And I think the reason why you see that is a matter of economics, because everyone has figured out the secret now, right? It's like pasta is just flour and water, or maybe flour, water, and eggs. And everyone does it well, and it's a way to make money. And you talking about our authentic experience, I would say people might not know the difference between Italian American food and Italian food, but you see it subtly. For instance, not just in Seattle, but I would say in New York, my experience in California. In the last 5 years, I have not seen anyone return a dish that was al dente. And I guarantee you, 10 years ago, embarrassingly, everywhere I went, I guarantee I always see people return a dish saying, it's undercooked, it's undercooked. No one does that anymore. And I think that shows you how far we've gone in terms of understanding cuisine.
Right. Speaking of, also you mentioned some very interesting restaurants in Seattle. That goes with the idea of an upscale experience of the authentic Italian cuisine. This is a question also for other panelists, but can we democratize somehow a Michelin star experience or an upscale experience and embrace a larger audience? Because often a Michelin star restaurant or a famous restaurant has a sort of a classist approach to the audience. The prices are high, but also the perception of some consumer is like, I don't belong to that environment. While food, at least from the Italian culture point of view, where some of us come from, food is inclusive, not exclusive. There is a democratization of food and not an exclusive. So I would like to know, how can we do that if you see something like that happening in Seattle? And then we're going to move to the next guest, by the way. We're going to keep a good timing on this.
Okay. I would say right now it's more approachable now than ever. And I'm not just talking about Seattle, but across the country. And I'll give you two examples. During the pandemic and before the pandemic. Right now, during the pandemic, all the high-end restaurants, every single high-end Italian restaurants now offer what they call the bodega, pantry corner, general store, where they make fresh pasta every morning and they sell 12 ounce to a pound out of a bag for $10. And they sell sauce like pesto or ragu for a pint of it for $10. And you can pretty much eat now during the pandemic at all the top Italian restaurants to go, as long as you want to cook it yourself. For like $20, it serves 2 to 4 people. And that's just obscene. And I know what people are thinking, just saying, well, this is a pandemic, it's just temporarily. But just talking to chefs around the city, these Italian restaurants, it's staying because it's so popular. Just like buying fresh pasta at a restaurant and cooking home, it has been such a big hit with so many restaurants here that even when the pandemic is over, they say they're going to keep this portion. And that's one thing you're going to see. Even prior to pandemic, we saw a big shift here. And I hate to say this, but Chipotle fast casual rice bowl has a big influence on that. In Seattle, you have a lot of pasta bowls, places that'll sell pasta bowls like rice bowls. And this is, again, not Olive Garden or spaghetti and meatball. This is chefs doing fresh pasta in the morning. They make fresh pasta in the morning. They make a lot of sauces in the morning. And for the lunch rush, Amazon or what have you, you can mix and match and you can get a bowl of pasta, authentic food for like 10 to 12 bucks. It's incredible. I'll give you an example. Brian Cullivanger, which is a respectable chef here in Seattle. He does a very successful fast casual Italian lunch and dinner. You can buy a bowl of pasta from him for $10 to $12. And it's delicious. It's like fresh spaghetti, and it's not spaghetti and meatball. It's spaghetti and lamb bolognese, little mascarpone for like $10. You can't beat that. And this is just, it's just a nuanced dish. It's great. He'll show you rigatoni, who does like fresh herbs, mint, a lot of unami with wild mushroom and aged cheese. And again, these are $10 to $12. And when he first offered, I was like, man, this is a $20 dish. It tastes like a $20 pasta dish to me. And I think that's a shift we're seeing now. A lot of pasta bowl, a lot of fast casual. So I think it's very approachable. I think even before the pandemic.
Sorry. Following up with what you just mentioned, we need to consider silver lining. Definitely in this COVID time is a sort of a cathartic moment to reapproach from both sides, from the consumer and the restaurant owner, the business. I would like to go to Chicago, so we have some room for question time. Good morning, Tracy. Thank you for being with us. I would like to talk with you about compost, and not only, but it's becoming more and more popular. And I would like to know that from an environmental point of view, and what does it mean also from a restaurant?
So from an environmental standpoint, I think the reason compost is finally getting its spotlight is just for a couple of reasons. Number one, in the landfills, food actually makes up between 30 to 40% of the total weight that we send to landfills. And what's beyond, the land that takes up is that when food decomposes in a landfill where it's all compressed in there without any air, it produces methane. And methane is a greenhouse gas that's 20 times more potent than CO2. So there's a big push now to alleviate that. It's a large portion of the methane that makes it into the air. Alternatively, if we were to take that food and compost it at home or in compost facilities, that methane goes away, and the end product is this really rich soil amendment that helps grow food again. So it becomes this closed circular, beautiful experience where instead of having food rot away and do nothing and do greenhouse gases, it actually helps us grow better food with less pesticides. It makes the soil more absorb water better. Those are some of the.
It goes with the concept of circular economy also. I know it's very popular, and luckily it's very popular in the past few years. restaurant, they have their own garden for herbs and vegetables, and now compost from the restaurant goes in the garden. So it kind of closes the circle and definitely has a good impact. I mean, it's the beginning of what should be a bigger impact on the environment. But compost is great, but we're learning more and more about food waste, which comes before compost. So what's the story and why about food waste?
So food waste, another big portion, depending upon who you listen to, somewhere between 30 to 40% of the food that we produce here in the United States goes to waste. And restaurants are probably the best at making sure that doesn't happen, far more than consumers. As we all know, we're not great about food waste. There are a lot of, tricks. It's about storage and obviously not over purchasing. So, learning how to store your food better. For instance, apples is something a lot of us might not realize actually can be stored in the refrigerator, should be stored in the refrigerator, and should be separated from other food. And it's a simple thing, but you've heard the saying, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. It's because they'll release an ethane whenever they start to decompose, and the gases that bananas and apples produce will actually make the food around them spoil faster. So that's
one quick question more for you and for the chef. And please, if our guests have any question, let us know in the chat room so we can go and call your name. My understanding is cities are approaching the recycling world in different ways. Even here in California, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Hollywood, Los Angeles have that different approach, similar but different. So very briefly, and then I would like to know the opinion of Chef on food waste. What kind of tips can you give, a sort of a universal approach around the US on recycling, in particular recycling while cooking at home?
Okay, very tough to do universally just because rules do.
The top three, if you can.
City by city, metal, when you're cooking, you're going to have a lot of cans. Your cans are always good to recycle. We don't have any cities. Recyclebycity.com is the it's a program that my company offers, and it's to help people recycle in different cities. So, and basically because the rules vary so much. But so cans are a good one, no matter where you're at. Recycle your cans. The paper doesn't have to come off. We don't know anybody who doesn't not recycle cans. Glass can vary, actually, your glass jars. Some cities recycle glass. I'm not sure in Seattle if they do or not. Do they? Yes, you do. Okay, in Seattle,
yes,
they do. Glass, your labels can stay on. But obviously, if you can reuse them, I save all of my glass jars. I try to buy in glass. They're great for bulk. They're great for, storing doodads. If you can reuse something, always better than recycling. And then when it comes down to these kind of, weirdo plastics, it really varies city by city. Some will take these kind of containers, some won't. This is like the little wrap that comes on some kind of, this is for my mushrooms or something. This is never going to be recyclable anywhere.
Okay.
This keep out. Anything that's got silver lining, like I got coffee bags, chip bags, the bags that maybe come inside boxes. This stuff also not recyclable anywhere. Oh. It's a mixed material. It's got metal and plastic on them. It's not really foil. It doesn't crinkle like foil. So these are not recyclable anywhere.
Wrong recycling is contributing to jump in the cost of actually recycling. So if you don't practice recycling home, you have an enormous cost to face afterwards to separate everything. And it's just a manual job at that point.
Or it doesn't, unfortunately, get separated. We're dealing with these huge cities. I mean, they're bringing in, thousands of pounds every day.
Right.
Thousands of tons every day. They can't take the time to, kind of pull that stuff out. So if they see a lot of contaminant, they've got all kinds of machines and stuff to try to make that happen. But if people are recycling really poorly, sometimes they'll just immediately take that load and redirect it.
I want to come back for a couple of quick notes towards the end, because we're all ordering like crazy in Amazon, ordering more food at home. So I want to give a couple more tips on that. But Chef, speaking of food waste, like what do you do in your kitchen to reduce the food waste? And also if you have any recipe that are also very much symbolic of your cuisine, your restaurant, that come from the reuse of scraps, so quindi degli avanti in cucina. And this is the moment to send your question, by the way.
we are really concentrate on this topic because it's very important today. And we have two different ways. The first is for the ingredients, clippings of ingredients, the staff food become very prestigious with great ingredients, but done with the clippings. And another one is 3 years ago, we started do not buy nothing in vacuum bag. The meat are fresh and we have a fridge for conserve there 20, 30 days. And this gives to us a new discipline because during last 20 years, I think everybody order meat, arrive in portion, in a small portion, in vacuum bag. And probably also the chefs do not know how to cut the meat. So it's important to select and organize before with the supplier the right method for do not have waste in terms of boxes and also for ingredients too. And for the waste foods, I think we haven't, but it's never enough the attention that we give to these topics. I think in every our recipes, we use all the ingredients because after the main ingredients, we have the sauce, the garnitures, and we try to use all the ingredients in the same recipe or in different recipes on the menu. And this gives to us also a new opinion for decide if our creativity is enough, concentrate not only on big results for our guests, but also for a cultural message.
Thank you, Chef. I think we have less than 5 minutes because it's already 11:29. I know there is a question from Paul Feinstein, I believe. Hi, Paul. And we're going to unmute your profile so you can ask your question. Hi, Paul. Good morning.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So I'm curious because you talk about PDO and DOP. There's so many Italian designations. There's PDO, there's DOP, there's IGP, there's TSG, there's PAT, there's DOC, there's DECO. What are we, as a consumer, how are we supposed to know what's best, what's right, what's what? It's just very confusing.
I will let Jenny answer. I just want to say something. It's from a European standpoint, okay? So the regulation comes from the top, from Brussels, like a pyramid. So each country is then proposing what ingredients, what products can be elected IGP or PDO. So there are websites we can check. I know there are about 295 products on the DOP category and over 520 in the IGP. And the idea is to protect the consumer, okay? Jenny, do we have website or some specific indication? This is a topic for a conversation in his own, by the way, but I understand the question. Jenny?
Hi, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yes, actually, in a recent Forbes interview, I was fortunate enough to be asked a few questions by Forbes. We talked about the importance of understanding what we call here PDO, DOC, DOCG for wines, IGT. There's a couple of symbols actually that you can use to identify some of these denominations that are very easy to catch. They're on the back of your cheese slice, for example, and sliced cheese or grated cheese. You can utilize those, and additionally, you can always reference the fact that DOC, DOCG is for the wines. The Ministry of Agriculture has a great length of information on its website as well. And we're always available to further send information on this matter. But I would say the Ministry of Agriculture is the best reference in this case. Maybe Chef has something to add to this?
I want to keep the chef as last, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I see still muted. So I want to give 60 seconds. I'm sorry, I'm more generous in life normally, okay? I want to give 60 seconds to Tan, Tracy, and to the chef before we conclude. We're running out of time. And then a final thank you from the director. Tan, aperitivo is just an Italian word, or is actually an Italian experience? People go for an all-you-can-eat, or they actually are looking for a specific product that they want to recoup from their memory or from their travels to Italy. Tracy, a couple of tips on what do we do with all that Amazon packages and beans that we receive from a to-go, from a restaurant?
To go, Nate?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I would say that when you use the term aperitivo in a lot of cities, say 10 years ago, it's used interchangeably with happy hour. The way I see it used now is more like a state of mind. It's not just about Aperol Spritz or Negronis, although there's a lot of Negronis, but it's just a state of mind in terms of, and you get these great cheese, little mixed nuts, but it's just, they're trying to create an atmosphere, especially in Seattle and in places where I've seen in the West Coast. It's not used interchangeably anymore as happy hour. It's like something very distinctive. And I just think that's pretty wonderful.
President and director, we have some work to do here in the community of the West Coast. Perception. Tracy, Recycle by City.
Hi, so real quickly, I'll go to-go packaging. Again, it's going to vary very much by city. Make sure stuff is clean. Nothing is going to be recyclable if there's food residue in it. Your aluminum type of to-go, most likely. Styrofoam, almost nowhere, except for Los Angeles, actually. Still accepting styrofoam, but it has to be clean. And then I'll go into Amazon real quick. These guys, not recyclable anywhere in your blue bins. Sorry, not true. Los Angeles is such a weirdo. Los Angeles does take plastic, but you have to cut off any paper. Like paper, plastic has to be recycled to plastic. So this guy's all plastic. If you live outside of Los Angeles, they'll take them at grocery stores, Target. All of those guys have plastic bag recycling bins near the front doors. These can go in there as well. Amazon has this newer guy that is all paper. And this guy can go in your recycle bin everywhere that takes paper, but it's paper inside, paper outside. And then there's these guys that we'll see a lot, right? If they're black on the inside, this actually means it's made from recycled content. So this is great because you're not really recycling unless you're buying recycled content and using recycled content. But same thing goes. So this can be recycled with your plastic bags, but you have to cut off any labels. This label is going to need to be cut off before it can be recycled.
Thank you, Tracy. I can only imagine what's under the table over there. I won't ask the question. Chef, I would like to conclude with you, and then Jenny will take the last word. I think it's very hard to reach the top. And you are a very young chef, so it's very promising you reach your achievement at such a young age. But it's even harder to stay at the top. So I would like to know what's next in your mind. What are you thinking about next? Are you holding position? Are you moving forward? Are you opening new? What are you doing?
I'm really concentrate on the restaurants we have. I think the team is the big secret to maintain close persons about the message we have and everything we shared until now need to be discussed every day and discover if there are some details who can have a great amelioration. Actually, on our project, we are really lucky to work in Italy and has got 6 different locations in very beautiful places, managed by great chefs and the restaurant manager. And I'm very honored of my team.
Please name your chef. Please name your chef in charge.
We have Donato Ascani with 2 Michelin stars in Venice, Gabriele Boffa at Sant'Ufficio in Monferrato in Piedmont, Marco Galtarossa in Bergamo Alta, and Bruno Cossio in Maremma at Resort Landana. And another one is Juan Quintero in Borgo San Felice in Chianti. These are the chefs who are working with me, and every one of them are started. Some of them has got a great ambitions for do better than now, and that's the details I'm looking for in the persons who are not happy about his position, but they're looking for to do better every day. And for do better, it's not only has got a gastronomic message, but also share with persons our culture message. In terms of a project, we have a new restaurant who will open in Milano next year. After the pandemic situation will be right also in our country. We are enough happy in this moment because the situation is changing, and we can see that people love to visit us at the restaurants, but it's not their normality until now. So we are waiting that the tourists will come back to visit our beautiful country. And on my dream, I have also to have a collaboration outside Italy. I have 2 different collaboration in Asia and the United Emirates. I think we have space for do other projects, but basically we need to be in good relation and with same ideas with our new partners.
Which means that the US are an open field for you. We're looking forward. I think
I'd
we have
love a
a
lot, but I
question.
think I'm enough young. I can wait.
You can wait, no wait too long. I think we're running out of time. In 5 minutes, we have a second segment of another Zoom with consumers. I would like to personally thank everybody, starting by the chef, but also our friends in Chicago and Seattle. Jenny, would you like to conclude with an institutional goodbye or a friendly goodbye?
A friendly one will be fine. It's almost lunchtime anyways. Getting hungry here. Thank you so much, Gianmario, for moderating the panel. Thank you, Tracy, Tan, and our President Nicola for being here today with us. And Chef, thank you. We're honored. We look forward to a collaboration in Los Angeles. That would be lovely to have you out here and have some of the food directly made from your great hands. Thank you to all the media who called in today and followed the panel. And please stay tuned for more True Italian Taste events soon. Thank you.